It's been a bad week for Bob Iger. And he's probably said that to himself a lot over the last 52 weeks because it's been about a year since Bob Iger made his triumphant return to Disney, even though the reality is he'd been there the whole time. Like, Bob Iger never left Disney. He never even gave up his office that Bob Chapek should have had. Instead, he had to go down the hall to basically a broom closet because at the end of the day, Bob Iger was always planning this comeback. He just wanted a fall guy. And that's absolutely what he's tried to use Bob Chapek as. And through the course of interviews and town halls where he didn't actually take questions from employees like he should have, Bob Iger spoke a lot this week about the current state of Disney. But it seems like the more he says, the worse it gets for him. And it's tough for it not to be that way when you have all the massive catastrophic failures that they're having. One of the things that stood out to a lot of people was Bob Iger admitting that messaging has got in the way of entertainment, that at the end of the day, entertainment needs to be their top priority. They can still do messaging, but they can do it effectively as long as they focus on entertainment first. No one believes that Disney's actually going to change anything because we've heard the same song and dance over and over from Bob Iger. Nonetheless, he admitted what we've been saying all along, that woke messaging has impacted their business. And of course, he tried to blame it almost entirely on what happened under Bob Chapek's tenure, even though so many of these projects started when he was the guy in charge and he was still at Disney when all this was going down. But he tries to find a fall guy. Didn't really work out. In the same interview, Bob Iger also tried to push all the blame away for the Marvels on, guess what? There was just no supervision because of COVID. Well, that got him in a lot of hot water because guess what? Places like the Mary Sue that have been shielding for the Marvels are very upset that sexist Bob Iger would say that the woman you hired to direct this thing needed supervision from executives. How dare you say something like that, Bob Iger? On top of that, a ton of Disney Plus accounts get canceled after Elon Musk specifically responds to Iger and Disney because they pulled ads from X to try to control Elon's speech. And Elon Musk just puts it straight out, says, go fuck yourself, Bob Iger. And people loved it. They loved the fact that Elon called Iger out, resulted in a mass wave of cancellations. And this is on top of the box office disasters like the Marvels. The Marvels is likely to lose in the range of $300 million for Disney. That's what we're talking about now. Wish is also a nightmare. Wish is probably going to lose about $200 million for woke Disney. So we're talking $500 million potentially lost on two movies that released in November. How embarrassingly bad. And if it wasn't bad enough, like I said, it's been a bad week for Bob. It's been a bad week for Disney. Nelson Peltz is still out there. He is not going away. And the proxy fight is going to happen one way or another. Bob Iger can try to escape it, but it's not going to work. Disney claims proxy fight driven by vendetta from ousted Marvel mogul. Nelson Peltz, Trian partner, said Thursday, it intends to take our case for change directly to shareholders. All the way back in February of last year, you had Nelson Peltz, activist investor, come in and say, you know what? I don't think Disney's doing a good job. There's a lot of changes that need to happen. A lot of shit needs to go down for them to change their course. And Disney said, we're going to fire a bunch of people. We're going to cut our spending. We're going to change. Nelson Peltz backed off. Well, now he is back with Ike Perlmutter, who does have an axe to grind with Bob Iger, with Ike Perlmutter's shares and a mission. Disney will have to deal with a new proxy fight as activist investor Nelson Peltz will seek board seats at the company. Peltz Trian partners said Thursday morning they have not received a warm welcome from Disney's board of directors, and they intend to take our case for change directly to the shareholders. Trian said it spoke to Iger this week that Disney extended an offer for them to meet with the board of directors. However, the board said it would not extend an offer for Peltz to join as a director. The news comes a day after Disney named two new members to the board. And here's the quote, right? Here's the quote from Trian. Since we gave Disney the opportunity to prove it could right the ship last February, up to our re-engagement weeks ago, shareholders lost $70 billion of value. Investor confidence is low, key strategic questions loom, and even Disney's CEO is acknowledging the company's challenges are greater than previously believed. While James Gorman and Sir Jeremy Derrick represent an improvement from the status quo, the addition of these directors will not, in our view, restore investor confidence. Trian intends to take our case for change directly to the shareholders. What that means is since Disney's refused to give them board seats or a seat at the table, that they are willing to engage in this big proxy fight. They are willing to take it to the shareholders and say, hey, you know what? You guys have been getting fucked over. Disney's been doing you dirty. They've been doing it wrong. This is what they should be doing. And we want change. And if enough of you guys get together, if enough shareholders say, you know what? You got a good idea there. And they get enough people, they get a majority. Holy shit, you could see some really big changes at Disney. It would be done a dirty way, and I don't think there's necessarily a high likelihood. But one thing it is going to do, it's going to cause more PR nightmares for Disney throughout this entire thing. You can tell every time Nelson Peltz gets brought up in interviews, Bob Iger can't stand it. He hates the fact that this is happening right now, that you have somebody with that much power, that many shares, that is actively calling out the company. We'll see what happens, but we continue to say when it comes to Disney, well, it can't possibly get worse, right? Well, it continues to get worse. And Bob Iger, after a year of chaos, a year where he thought he would return as the hero, but instead is now looked at as a villain the way he should have been perceived the entire time, Disney's in full-blown panic mode with so many things going on right now, so many things that are bad PR in the news cycle at the same time. But maybe this is just what they've come to expect from woke Disney.